Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today our guest is SPAC Mikey, aka Crypto CX1. He dabbles in crypto, SPACs, equities, and commodities. Welcome, Mikey. It's amazing to have you in Point Blank.
Great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Let's kick it off, man. So, what have you been up to lately, in and out of crypto?
Yeah, so in and out of crypto, kind of been dabbling across the broad markets. Commodities was fun earlier this year. Well, God, we're already in 2021, I guess early 2020. And then that got boring and I discovered SPACs. So I've really been focusing on SPACs and crypto and the markets. Outside of the markets, just trying to maintain my sanity and health in this mass culture of ours.
Can you enlighten us on what are SPACs?
Yeah, so a SPAC stands for a special purpose acquisition company. They've actually been around for a little while. I believe DraftKings was one of the early ones that became very popular. And then we saw a lot more come to market Q4, but some of them have actually been listed since, I believe some of the charts I've looked at go back to 2019, albeit they're not too appealing to me. So what it really is it's a way for, you could get a couple hedge funds together. It could be one or two billionaires like Chamath or Mark Cuban that say, all right, we're going to do a 250 million or 1 billion raise. And we're going to have a CEO and a board of directors, depending on how big it is. And we're going to target a certain vertical. Could be aerospace and defense, could be something in fintech with an element of blockchain to it. And the aim is to take a strong private company public. And the appeal is, and anyone listening, something I've learned over the years, you don't have to completely understand something to make money from it. So if I say something inaccurate, feel free to ping me and correct me. I'm certainly not an expert. I'm just making a lot of money off it. So as I understand it from people more intelligent than me, it creates a lot of less red tape for these private companies with the SEC to go public versus your IPO approach. What's really appealing, and there's a great interview from 2017, I think Chamath's at Harvard Business School, and they're just shooting questions at him similar to this. It's really a way to give power back to the lower and the middle class, right? Guys like you and me, most people listening to this, we can't get an IPO. I don't know about you, I don't have $100 million laying around. So we've created this method for the rich to get richer and the wealth gap to get wider. And it's fucked in my opinion. And sorry if you don't like cussing on here. It's just kind of flows naturally. But
yeah, you can.
So we get what we've seen is, you look at the Airbnb IPO, we've got the Robinhood one coming up, Coinbase, whether they SPAC or IPO, they're coming in at insane valuations and PE ratios, their annual revenue and profit versus market cap and we're sitting here buying the hype, right? Because the lower and the middle class can't get in. But with the SPAC, you get a much more fair valuation. Open Door comes to mind where it was Chamath's first SPAC, IPOB. I don't believe he did an IPOA. I think it started with IPOB, which became Open Door. And they've got 8 times the revenue of Redfin in 2019 and something like 3 to 4 times the revenue of Zillow. But no one's really heard of Open Door, right? It's a private company. So it didn't have the hype train behind it. And right now you can get in, now that they're listed under the new ticker, about half the market cap of Zillow, right? So it's a much more appealing valuation for investors. And I hope that kind of gave a broad brushstroke on it, and I'm happy to describe more.
So regular Joes can get into IPOs through SPACs?
Exactly.
Nice.
And the beauty of it is the limited downside. So a lot of these SPACs I'm in, what happens is when they get the raise, albeit that 250 million, 1 billion on the bigger side, a lot of them have a NAV target per share. So we often see $10. There was one with Bill Ackman, Pershing Squares, their NAV target was $20, but that's a bit of a rarity. So if you think about the NAV target, all that money goes into a trust, and it's all set up to the SEC. All their filings are on the SPAC website. So if you buy into these SPACs we're talking about on Twitter or conversations you might have, your downside is often $10 a share. So if you get in at 10.50, maybe $13, your max downside is, all right, I'm going to get paid out $10 a share from the trust if they don't find an acquisition company. Now your upside is, well, look what happened to DraftKings. Look what happened to SBE, the one I was all over Q4 because I drive a Tesla and I said, holy shit, ChargePoint, they dominate the market. You take Tesla out of the equation, they own 70% of the public charge network in the US from the last audit I saw. So I knew that was a winner. And what happened with those? They ran to $50. Look at Open Door, ran to $35. So your upside is exponential with these. And it reminds me a lot of the ICO craze in 2017. I was all over it because I've been in enterprise software sales my whole career. I know how to go to someone's LinkedIn, vet them, say, oh, this person's impressive. Wow, right? The idea is impressive. So it reminds me a lot of that, except these are companies with revenue and often profits of that revenue. And you can get in early at a fair valuation. So I know it's new and a lot of people don't understand it, but this is, people should really be thinking about what they're going to do with their crypto profits, because I've been in crypto for 3 to 4 years now, early 2017, and you can lose everything very quickly. So I try and tell people to pay themselves, diversify. It's a game of survival. You know, everyone has this target. I want to get to 1 million. I want to get to 10 million. And it's bullshit, quite frankly. And I can't get behind that. So
what are any hot SPACs coming on 2021?
You know, the thing with these, they list so frequently and so quickly. You know, there's a great Twitter to follow, SPAC Track, SPACTRACK. I don't know who's running it. They're close to 45,000 followers, but you can get a lot of your information there. I even put a list together on Twitter, SPAC Intel. You can find it on CryptoCX1, my Twitter account. But I'm just adding folks to that have a great track record for knowledge, catching good SPACs early, doing team reviews. But they happen so quick. And let me pull up my equity account. We had quite the sell-off today. I think it's recovering. ES and SP 500 are still struggling a bit. But a beauty of the SPAC strategy is if I log in my 2 equity accounts right now, I'm almost completely exposed to SPACs. And my drawdown right now is I'm up 1/4 of a point in my largest account, and I'm down 3/4 of a point in my second largest account. So you're very shielded from market sell-offs first, your lemonades and your Zoom infos, for example. Hot new SPACs that I'm at that are trading near NAV. I really like LFTR. And the reason I like it is it actually has the past CEO of Coinbase on their board of directors. It has some other folks from the Fortune 1000 finance space. I'm trying to pull up that tweet. I can't find it. But so it's trading at 1077. They're targeting a fintech company. I think their raise was like 500 million, 750 million. And so your downside with that is it could go to $10 and you get paid out from the trust, or they could SPAC something like Coinbase and be partial ownership in it. I'm guessing Brian hates the SEC as much as Elon Musk. And so, you know, it could be something like Coinbase. We don't know. And these things just hit and then they gap up to $20, $30 in a day. And you're like, fuck, what happened? So it's really a unique place. It just takes a little patience to hold it. But every SPAC I'm holding right now is up 30 to 400%, except that one.
Do you need to be a US citizen or can be anybody from the world?
You know, I'm told a lot of my followers are having issues buying them from Canada, Europe, other parts of the world. So I don't know. What I do know is I can buy almost every single one in my TD Ameritrade account. So it's probably a US thing. And I know it's not as simple on the equity side as it is in crypto, where, you know, you create a VPN and you get in like that, right? It's a lot harder to have access to US equities. So I'd imagine it would have to be a US equity account. Or maybe they have over-the-counter ones. I know Sam over at FTX is a very innovative thinker. And I kind of got him interested in maybe listing some SPACs on FTX. So it could be coming soon. Will there be legalities and require FTX US or international? I don't know exactly how that works with Tesla and some others he's listed.
Bring them on. Let's have some. Bring them on.
Yeah, he's a very forward-thinking CEO. And I didn't know until after the election, he was the second largest donor to the Biden campaign.
Yeah,
Very
insane.
strategic move on his part.
Playing 5D chess on us.
He is.
So, Mikey, what is your background?
Background, career or life?
Education, career, life.
Yeah, so
Whatever that
lived
doesn't
in,
dox you.
yeah, right. Lived in 4 cities across the U.S., Midwest, South. Now I'm out west in Arizona. It's actually an interesting story how I got out here. I woke up one day and realized I don't ever want to see snow again. I don't want to see cold weather. It does nothing for me. You know, everyone wears a bunch of clothes and gets pissed off for 3 months out of the year. So I moved out to Arizona in 2014 with about $300 to my name. A girl I had just met. No friends, no job, really no aim. I just had a cousin out here and a free place to stay. And then I got on Reddit, do some soul searching. I had my degree. I always knew I wanted to go in sales. I just didn't know what. So I had conversations on sales and selling with complete strangers on the internet, on Reddit. Had a couple phone calls with these complete strangers from a forum, and quickly found out, and these were professionals in their 40s and 50s that have been in sales all across the gambit their whole career. And they all really recommended, dude, if I was your age, I would go into cloud software. It's booming, it's future proof. You're going to do great. So a company, a large Fortune 500 public company, took a chance on me, laughed at my fake resume in the interview, but they liked my personality and invited me to happy hour. And I took a job as a business development rep and broke every record in that company in that role, and got promoted to account executive. Started working with SMB and then got promoted to enterprise quite quickly. And since then, I've pretty much been in enterprise sales, and now I'm selling to the Fortune 1000 in the financial services vertical at the company I'm at now.
That's quite the big resume, man.
Yeah, it's been interesting 5 years of 6 years now. God, I'm getting old of employment. But you know, people always ask me on Twitter, why don't you quit your job? Yeah, this and that. And I'm like, fuck, man, the tech industry, you can't beat it. I mean, you're talking about working 30 hours a week, getting paid as much money as you want. On a bad year, you'll make 300 grand. On a good year, you could, you know, W2 7 figures. It's a beautiful setup. I really like it.
And what do you do outside the 9 to 5 and trading SPACs, crypto? What are your hobbies?
Try to get to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. I'd say I'm a good cook. I used to cook and love it, but now I'm lazy, and I have a mainly vegan focused meal prep company, deliver meals every week. And I have my juice delivered now too, my vegetable juice. God, I'm getting so lazy.
You're getting lazy.
And then I am, you know,
too much DoorDash.
You get money in the markets and you start wanting to make life as easy as possible, right? But yeah, outside of that, I play a lot of Xbox, a lot of Call of Duty, go to music events as much as I can. Before COVID, we were probably doing about 40, 45 concerts a year, maybe 3 or 4 music festivals, trying to travel to at least 2 countries a year. So yeah, really just try to keep the mind busy. And we play I don't know if you've heard of Spike Ball down in Panama. Do they have that down there?
No. What is that? Spikes.
Oh man, so this game, it started on Shark Tank actually. Well, rather it got
Is it like dodgeball? Similar?
No, so what it is it's a small net you put on the ground.
With a trampoline in the middle.
Yeah, 2-on-2, small little volleyball. And it's just an addicting game, and anyone that hasn't played it can pick up on it quite quickly. So we try and play spike ball once a week, and get into pickleball. It's like a smaller form of tennis. You're actually seeing a lot of tennis courts converted to pickleball courts here in the US. It's the fastest growing sport in the country. So yeah, man, gym, video games, anything to get me out of the house, music. Try to keep the mind busy and off the charts, because God knows we all spend too much time in front of the charts.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT. the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account. And how you got into crypto?
It's an interesting story, actually. So before we started the show, I was telling you about my recent trip to Tulum. Love Tulum. Anyone listening, if you want to just press pause on life and have some normalcy and go listen to some music and meet people, go to Tulum. Don't think about it. Just go for a week. Invite your best friend. Go by yourself. Whatever. Incredible. Anyway, I was down in Tulum. The first time I had been there, and it was late 2016, December, going into January 2017. They used to do a music festival called the BPM Festival, and it stands for Bartenders, Promoters, and Musicians. It was a way for the DJ community and industry to take a break and go and have their own relaxation. And they did it in Playa del Carmen. So basically, you fly into Cancun, hour shuttle south is Playa, hour and a half, 2 hours south of Cancun is Tulum. So it was a music festival where you had a wristband, and that would get you into some 50 parties going on 24/7. The jungle, the beach, all the bars, and over 500 DJs, some of the biggest names in techno and house, would fly there every year. And so we went down for that, and my girlfriend at the time, you know how girlfriends love to do touristy shit and get their pictures for Instagram. So we went down to Tulum for a couple nights before that, and it was fun. And we went out on an excursion on the Cian Khan. It's a beautiful area in Tulum, almost like a nature preserve vibe. And we were there with a lot of other couples on the charter, and these were all Wall Street analysts. And of course, me being fresh out of college, all I know is my 401k, which God, like, not much in it at the time, getting shit returns. Didn't even know what an IRA was or how to trade stocks, trade anything really. And I started questioning them. I said, guys, you know, what are you in? You know, what's the strategy? Well, you know, and I was shocked. All these Wall Street analysts go, hey man, we're all in on Bitcoin and Ethereum. This was January 2017. I think Ethereum was trading at like $6. Bitcoin was struggling to reach all-time high around 900, 1,000. And, you know, I've always been kind of a risk taker. And I got home after the festival, and after I sobered up, and I talked to another buddy of mine here in Arizona, and he's like, oh yeah, man, Ethereum, smart contracts, this is the future. And I kind of just liquidated everything and went all in. So that's how I found out about crypto, man. And then I got very involved in ICOs and it's all in Stratus after Ethereum. Then I discovered Ant shares before it became Neo. And then I was big in the Link ICO and the Icon ICO and ZRX ICO, District Network Token. People see it as this Coinbase pump. That thing had a 45x pump out the gate with their ICO. But yeah, it was a fun year, man. That's kind of how the journey all began.
That's some perfect timing for you also.
Yeah, you know, it all comes back to travel and meeting new people, man. Had I not been that way, I might still be in Ohio and doing God knows what, maybe in a marriage I hate.
And freezing your ass off.
Exactly. Yeah. We had to get away from that.
So what is your edge, Mikey? What is your approach to maximize gains?
Well, I think it goes back to what we discussed earlier, and maybe it was before the recording started, but I try and tell people in my life, albeit friends, strangers, family, people on Twitter, the name of the game is survival, right? I've met so many guys and girls that have turned, you know, it could be 10 grand into 400 grand or millions quite quickly. And then it's like everyone has this greed thing, right? It's like, okay, now what can I do in crypto with this money? And my edge is survival. You know, what so many people listening need to realize is we all have this gift, right? To take risk and make our money work for us. And we're not being good bosses of that money if we just keep thinking with greed and multipliers. So my edge is I take wild profits from crypto and I diversify it in things like SPACs. I'm starting to get a lot heavier in real estate and Airbnbs because it's a game of survival and it's a hobby. And that's my edge, is in 2017 and 2018 taught us to all be moon boys and have unrealistic expectations with these absolute dog shit coins. And 99% of them they don't have revenue. They don't have a business model. They don't have customers. So that's my edge. Use this as a tool for quick returns, diversify it into things like SPACs, equities, real estate. And I know 75% of the people listening are probably thinking, yeah, real estate's a bubble, it's going to crash. Yeah, 2008 was a unique thing. All right. What I think is going to happen in the real estate market is, and a lot of my friends in that industry are aligned, giving out these loans. We're seeing a liquidity issue in the US. Rates are at 15-year lows and everyone's buying. And these millennials are finally catching up with their student loans and in a comfortable spot where they can afford a down payment on a home, right? So what we have is this liquidity crisis, which is driving up real estate rates. And then the boomers aren't selling as quickly as we'd like them to. You think about the biggest concentration of wealth in the US right now are baby boomers. Some of them are retired. Some of them are thinking about retirement, and they're not. Some of them are downsizing their homes quickly enough. So it's a bit of a liquidity issue. I think when we start to see the uptrend in rates, and I do think rates will bottom by mid 2021. I sell to financial services in the enterprise, and banks can't survive like this. We might have another 2008 on our hands. We're bailing out the banks if we keep rates this low going into 2022 and 2023. But that's a whole other can of worms we don't have to discuss. So anyway, I think the rates start their uptrend. It won't be sharp, but we might get back to the 4s and the 5 points range. And then you'll see an influx of inventory to the market. Real estate might go down up to 10%, but I certainly don't think it's going to be a 2008 repeat. Goes back to the movie The Big Short. I mean, strippers were buying 3 houses. There was nothing, right? I know the guys that are giving out mortgages, and there's a lot more betting on it now. So that's my edge. Take your massive profits. If you want to let 50, 25% run in crypto, great, but fucking pay yourself, pay the taxes, buy some real estate, buy some equities. In 20 years, you'll look back and be very thankful that you did. That's my edge.
That's a great advice, man. How your investment strategy has evolved since when you started?
Goes back to my last point, man. I'm a lot more conservative now than I used to be. When I post about entering alts, guys, it's like 1 to 3% of my stack when I enter an alt. Back in the day, could be all in alts. I mean, when late 2017 happened, I was all in alts. I was watching Bitcoin go to 20K, and my portfolio was going sideways or marginally up, right? And then it went boom in January. But yeah, I've gotten a lot more conservative. I'd say with alts, I'll do 1 to 3%. Ethereum maybe up to 20%. But then the meat stays in riding Bitcoin, real estate, equities. Things that are a lot more controllable and resilient in a black swan event like we saw in March.
I guess some of us mature at the point where we hit the capital preservation button.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that discipline to switch into capital preservation. Many of us switch into more greed and eventually move into getting wrecked and starting from zero again.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And I was actually at a party this past Saturday, and I met this guy from he was French. He was from Canada, French side of Canada. Anyway, he had turned 15 grand into 400 grand in like 6 months in crypto. I think he was doing some margin trading on Bybit. And he, my buddy's laughing that's here right now because he was with me. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna, I took my principal out, and I'm like, oh, you took 15 grand out of 400 grand? Really? Okay. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to quit my job. I don't like my job. And he's like, I'm just going to hodl. I'm going to hodl the alts I like. I'm a believer until 2022. And it's going to be great. I'm going to live off the returns. And what he said to me, and we both looked at each other, me and my buddy, and we laughed our asses off. He goes, this time is different. There are institutions here now. This time is different. Anytime says this time is different, and any conversation you're having about investing or trading, it should go in one ear and out the other. This time is never different. This is emotion and greed. These are human beings pressing green and red buttons. It is a cycle. So yeah, man. And you can't teach people, hey, dude, maybe sell half, pay the fucking taxes on it, quit your job, enjoy life a bit. You can't teach people that. They have to get wrecked, and hopefully they learn it the second time around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is your overall legacy in crypto market forecast for this year? Have we topped out on Bitcoin?
You know, I don't like calling tops. What I look for in Bitcoin and Ethereum is higher time frame structural breakdown. Pull up the chart here. So if we look at the weeklies on Ethereum and Bitcoin, I mean, we're just making higher lows, and we just, you know, if the weekly closes out, you know, below 4.2, it'll be our first lower high in this whole run since December. So I try and take a look at that, not to say that's going to call a top, but some very bright minds, and anyone in the following right now or listening, definitely list or follow Stillman and Zavi on Twitter. There are a couple guys that work with Jake in the dojo. Some of the most brilliant minds in looking at macro charts and trying to compare where we are versus previous cycles. And we're kind of aligned in that we might be in June 2017. So these bull markets, guys, you can be in a bull market and have a massive sell-off. Anyone that's been here since 2017, we ran like a mother from January to June. I think Ethereum went up to like 400, 420. It'd be very meme-like if 420 was the top. Anyway, I can't remember. And then everything crashed down. I think Ethereum got as low as like 160, 180, and all was lost, and it's the end. And then what happened? It went to fucking 1400, 1440, whatever it was. So we can be in a bull market and have big sell-offs. You know, you've got to reset. Top buyers have to cascade the books. Some holders from much lower have to get sobered up and see their portfolio get cut in half and pay themselves a bit. And then we consolidate and recharge, and that's fine. So the crypto market's its own beast. I do think it follows equities, which is the most important. To understand where we are in equities, it's hard to say. What makes sense to me is there's a chart on TradingView. It's kind of a bitch to find. You almost have to Google Schiller PE ratio, TradingView, and then you can find the full detailed chart. But what it looks at is the PE ratios across majority US equities. So I track that to really understand where we are in this equity bubble. I wish I could share my screen, but I'm on mobile. But anyway, if we go back to 99 and 2000, we topped out at about 44.55 on Schiller's PE ratio. And we hit that high in November, late November of 99, and it was less than 6 months before the tech bubble boomed, and we started our long-term bear market. Now, what's interesting to this is the PE ratio chart didn't even hit another high in 2007 or 2008. It was actually flatlined. So if you go back and look at the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, we actually hit a lower low in February of 2009 than we did following the dot-com bubbles low. So that's really what I'm tracking. We're at the highest point on the PE ratio scale since pre-dot-com bubble. We're at about December 97 right now. We're at 34.19 points. When that gets into that 40 to 45 point range, you are going to see me become very conservative, be a cash maximalist, and start opening up some 12 to 36 month puts on the US economy. And I'll probably tweet all that out. I'd say we're still about 5 to 12 months before we hit the danger zone. But that's really what I'm tracking. And when that pops, crypto will pop with it. And I'm sorry, anyone listening, this time it's not different. Every US equity sell off, crypto is followed or front ran. So that's that.
And off to the last question, Mikey. What shitcoins do you have?
Right now, man, I really closed a lot of positions when I got some, I call it post-nut clarity. I got back from Tulum and I was like, wow, that was fun. I closed most positions. Looking at what I'm in today, seeing some strength on the F Bitcoin chart and the BCD, Bitcoin dominance chart, looks like it really wants to break that local low. Entered some Ethereum and Atom on the dip today. Other positions I'm in, Link from the sevens. I'm still holding some Ocean, some HTR, AMP. Stillman and Zavi really like AMP. That's more of an adoption play. On Gemini, I guess they're going to power the crypto payments for Shopify if there's any adoption to this madness we're in. So yeah, I think those are the only ones I'm in right now. I pretty much took out most of my RSR, my re-entries, did about a 4 or 5x on those. So they booted me off Binance, so it became a liquidity issue. I had to exit some of my larger positions. The liquidity on Huobi and KuCoin is embarrassing.
Why is it embarrassing to use KuCoin?
I like KuCoin in theory, man, but my God, the liquidity's trash. The charts, the tabs on the charts freeze. I'm constantly having to reload. It's a challenge.
It's not that bad. I've seen way worse in our time back in 2017 and 2018. I remember trying to open Cryptopia on my mobile. It was fucking nightmare.
Yeah, but the one beauty Cryptopia had that I appreciated about it was its real time up just loading. Like their screen times were great. I mean, remember those shitty charts we used to trade? Remember Pickle Ricks? Jesus. I mean, I flipped some shitcoins on Cryptopia for 50x in days. It was crazy. But their screens would always reload in real time. It was smooth. Of course, I'm talking desktop, not mobile. I don't know what that experience was like.
You don't want to know.
Yeah.
And with that, we end our episode. I'm very happy to have hosted Mikey on Point Blank. Thanks for coming on, man. Can you tell us where we can find you?
You can find me on Twitter on CryptoCX1. If anyone's ever out in Arizona, feel free to DM me. I often meet new homies from crypto Twitter, so I'm always around.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.